I have a quick layout using nothing but scraps to share with you today. Hi, I'm Katie Taylor at scrappinkaty.com, where I show you how to preserve your family's memories through the art of scrapbooking. I pulled out some photos of our last trip to New York, as well as some retired stamps and a paper collection from close to my heart. I'm starting out by adding some sapphire shimmer brush splatter to this piece of white daisy cardstock. This is cut slightly smaller than a 12 by 12, so I can mount it on a piece of sapphire cardstock. So you can see that shimmer there in the close-ups here in just a second. You'll be able to see it a little bit closer. I'm going to turn my Versamat over on the back and go ahead and stamp some of these images. Now, I've already used the coordinating metal die to cut those out of white daisy cardstock, as well as some coordinating colored cardstock that will go along with this paper collection. I'm going to be using sapphire ink for this title, and just inking that up and stamping it down. And then we have a suitcase and then a passport stamp set as well, or stamped image. Now, if you were one of the lucky ones to get this stamp set and this paper collection before it ran out, and you have scraps, this layout is a perfect opportunity to use those up. If this layout looks familiar, you might have noticed it in the catalog that this paper collection was in. I absolutely loved it, and I actually meant to do this layout a long time ago, but as you know, you just kind of get sidetracked, for lack of a better word, with other brand new products. So this is the first time I'm actually getting a chance to make this layout. Now, there are scraps. I measured them out slightly to kind of copy the layout, but you can just use whatever scraps you have. You just kind of want to make sure that they aren't 12 inches long. So here's where I am adhering that white daisy prepared piece onto a piece of sapphire cardstock. And I love that little edge that it leaves around the edge. And then stay tuned because I'll have to add something to that just to kind of make it pop a little bit more. So here are the scraps. Again, they're scraps of the pattern paper as well as some zip strips. And I've just cut those in varying lengths. So there are some 10-inch, there's some 11-inch. Again, no 12-inch. And then I'm just going to kind of stagger them. Now, I started at the bottom, but quickly realized that I should probably pay attention to what I'm doing and kind of adhere some on top. So I am going to start stacking these here in just a second after I realized, hey, you know, I can slide that in, but I'm not going to be able to do that for long. So I'm just going to take some tape adhesive and just kind of stack these. Again, I am wanting to separate the colors. Anytime you're using strips of paper, it's really handy to use up all the scraps, but you want to make sure you kind of separate those colors. You don't want them all concentrated. Now, a lot of these scraps will be hidden, so you don't really have to use the lengths, the 10-inch and the 11-inch. You definitely could use, 4 and 5-inch if you knew where your photo was going to go. So I am almost done with these strips of paper, and you can see there that I am just adding tape adhesive, but you definitely could use the adhesive of your choice. So I've got those glued down, and then I am going to pull out these little tags as well as trying to decide which photo I'm going to use. If you recall, there were two photos, one of our walk in the city and then another of a bright yellow building. I love the yellow building, but I wanted this layout to actually serve as maybe a cover sheet or a cover page to our trip, especially the walk that we did. So right here, I am opening up some brand new ribbon. I did receive this ribbon to try out from an online store, and I will leave that linked down below. I love it because it is Grosgrain and it is really thin, and so it allows me to just feed it through those tiny holes of that tag, and then I'm just going to secure those right now with some micro glue dots. I am leaving those ribbon tails a little bit longer just so I can trim them once I have them in place. I find that's easier sometimes. So this little tag is actually going to be part of a grouping that is going to be over my photo. So I am just pulling the die cut stamped pieces as well as some of the stickers that I know I want to use. And I am going to cut this travel one. It's a little bit too long, and being that it's going to be tucked behind my photo, you really wouldn't see that. I love cutting either die cuts or stickers, especially if you're not going to see them, because you can use them on other projects. And you'll see that on another layout that I'm going to post here. I don't know if it'll be this weekend, but it may be next week. It goes along with the Are We Here Yet? But I'm actually using it for a different trip, not our New York trip. So I'm going to move this up just a little bit. I want that travel tag to actually be more in the white space. And then I am going to add some ribbon to that yellow tag as well. Again, securing it with some micro glue dots. And this tag, I don't know if you saw, but I actually stamped the bottom of it tone on tone. And it's just got this little arrow. I'll use that arrow a couple of other places too as well. Now, this circle is actually a tag, but it's the largest circle I had, and I definitely wanted some white space showing from behind this tag because I am going to use some more stickers and die cuts here in just a second. And so I wanted that to kind of be an anchoring spot. So I just tucked the tag portion underneath my photo, and then you can see there, just made sure some of the bottom of that round tag was showing. So here is my title, Our Getaway, and I love that contrast of that sapphire ink. So I did pull out my candy apple, no, my papaya again, and there's that little arrow I'm going to use, as well as a suitcase down underneath the title. And then I'm going to adhere some of these stickers to my anti-static pouch so I can take the stickiness off of them and use them with 3D foam tape. Now, these adorable little suitcases were part of the Are We Here Yet? I don't know if those are still available. If they are, I will leave a link down below, as well as links to any of the other products that I used. And you are more than welcome to shop those links if you feel inspired. If not, something as simple as leaving me a comment, a thumbs up, sharing with your friends, or just subscribing and signing up for notifications also helps me out if you aren't in a position to order from any of the links. So I love that little arrow pointing to that little heart geotag. And then I'm going to add some 3D foam tape to this little sentiment right here. Now I will end up switching out this sentiment. I can't remember if I did it on camera or not. So make sure you stick around to see what the new little sentiment is. And here is the photo that I decided on. I just love this photo. We were just walking, we had eaten and just walking down the street like you do in New York. And I looked back and then you could see the sunset in between those buildings and then the lights. And I absolutely love it. This is one of my favorites. In fact, I might even scrapbook this photo on another layout and maybe blow it up bigger. I am adding some melon dots. Melon was the color of the year, or currently is for a little bit the color of the year. It will soon be replaced September 1st, but you can go ahead and hop on and see if these melon dots are still available. But I just added hearts everywhere. We've got large, medium, and small hearts, and I kind of added them around the little groupings, little embellishment groupings. Here is where I am going to just trim those ribbon tails off, and I am really liking how this layout is ending up. Here is where I am trying to decide if I want to keep that little subtitle or not. So I've pulled out my sticker sheet. I am taking a look at it, and then I think that I am going to switch that out. So off camera, I went ahead and removed that, and I also removed the passport, and I'm adding this sticker. The reason I removed the passport is I loved it, but we didn't really need a passport. And I know that sometimes that's not important, you know, it's just the travel bug and, you know, everything that goes along with travel, but I really wanted to save that for later. So I have taken the stickiness off of the new sticker that I'm going to use and added 3D foam tape. And I think that this sticker just appeals or goes much better with this layout than the other one. So here's the layout, and I'm noticing that you really can't see a lot of that shimmer brush. So here in true Katy fashion, I decide to add it later, and I kind of mess up. There are big blotches, and you'll see that up at the top right. And so I'm going to try to blot it. That does not work. And I finally pull out my sticker sheet, and there are some borders on that sticker sheet. So I ended up just tearing those sticker borders and kind of using it as washi tape. So I'm going to tear that here and tear the other end and stick it right there. And then I'm also going to do the same thing on the bottom. Again, just to kind of make it look cohesive and not make it look like, hey, Katy messed up, let's add a piece of washi tape here. So I'm really liking that, but again, I'm thinking that this layout needs just a little bit of something. So I've decided to take my white gel pen and run a border all the way around the layout. Now I am leaving little gaps and then coming back in and adding some hearts. Those hearts are matching those melon dot hearts that I used on the layout, as well as just kind of letting you know that I'm really loving this page and loving our trip to New York. Let me pick this up and show you some of the close-ups, as well as some still shots. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. Remember, if you liked what you saw, leave me a comment and a thumbs up. And if you aren't already a subscriber, I would love to have you subscribe to my channel. Sign up for notifications so you'll be alerted the next time I post a crafty video. And don't forget to check out those links in the description below. Thanks, and have a wonderful rest of your week.